No one really warns you about the kind of heartbreak that doesn't come with shouting, betrayal, or some dramatic ending. The real heartbreak begins in silence, in those quiet, piercing moments when someone you love looks at you and doesn't truly see you anymore. I met Emily 5 years ago in a little bookstore cafe. She sat by the window reading the bell jar, sipping black coffee, wearing this gentle smile that made her look like serenity personified. We ended up talking for 3 straight hours, like we had known each other in some other lifetime. There was this beautiful contrast in her, composed but passionate, warm yet quietly enigmatic. I fell for her fast and hard, and I didn't try to stop myself. In the beginning, being with her felt like finding home. She'd text me out of nowhere just to say she missed me. We'd cook dinner together, fall asleep in each other's arms, and dance to 90s R&B in the kitchen. She'd rest her head on my chest and whisper, "I feel safest with you." I believed her. That trust, that closeness, it became the foundation of my life. But like a slow leak in a boat, the shift came quietly. No dramatic argument, no sudden betrayal. Just a slow pulling away that was almost invisible at first. I told myself she was tired, stressed from work. So I stepped up, cooked her favorite meals, picked her up from the office, left sweet notes around the house. I wasn't asking for anything extravagant. I just wanted to stay close. But then she began to shrink away from even the smallest touches. When I kissed her cheek in the morning, she'd subtly turn her face. Her hugs became lifeless. At night, she faced a wall and claimed she wasn't in the mood to talk. I tried to be patient, told myself to give her space, to not be needy. But something felt off. The silence after dinner, the distant look when I told her I loved her, the absence of even casual affection. About a month before everything truly fell apart, I tried to talk to her. I came home early with Thai food and wine. She was on the couch scrolling through her phone. I sat beside her and asked softly, "Emily, can we talk?" Her response wasn't angry. It was worse, apathetic. She barely glanced up and said, "What now?" I told her I felt like I was losing her, like I couldn't reach her anymore. She just shrugged. "I don't know what you want from me right now." That sentence hit hard. I didn't want grand gestures or promises. I just wanted connection, a touch, a laugh, something real, something alive. But it was like she didn't care enough to try. Still, I held on. Maybe out of love, maybe out of fear, or maybe because I didn't want to accept the truth. Then came the moment that finally broke something in me. It was a quiet Sunday morning. We were supposed to visit her parents for brunch, something that used to bring us joy. I got dressed, shaved, sprayed on the cologne she used to say made me smell like safety. She looked beautiful, doing her makeup in the navy blouse I always liked. As we were about to leave, I leaned in to kiss her, a soft, simple gesture of love. Nothing intense, just instinct. She pulled back slightly, took a small step away, and said coldly, "Don't kiss me." No explanation, no emotion, like I was some stranger violating her space. I stood there frozen, my hand midair, suspended between us like a question she refused to answer. And I didn't say anything. I didn't ask why. Didn't plead or joke like I usually did. I just nodded, walked past her, grabbed my keys, and left. That was the real end. Not the words, but everything behind them. The emptiness, the disconnect. I didn't make it to brunch. I drove for hours, my heart pounding like it couldn't make sense of what had just happened. I ended up at a lookout spot we once visited, where we'd laughed and talked about our future. And that day, I sat alone and realized I'd lost her long before that moment. I just didn't want to see it. Something in me shut off after that. Not in anger, not in bitterness. Just quietly, irreversibly. I didn't tell her. I didn't have to. My silence spoke loud enough. The days that followed, I stopped trying. I didn't initiate conversations. I didn't reach for her hand at night. I greeted her with a nod instead of a kiss, ate my meals without small talk, and went to bed like we were just two strangers cohabiting. It wasn't passive. It was intentional. I no longer waited for her to show affection. I stopped searching her face for signs she still cared. The version of me that held on so tightly, the man who kept hoping she'd come back, he left that morning when she said, "Don't kiss me," And something strange happened. The silence that had once suffocated me started to feel like clarity. Emily noticed a change. I could feel her watching me when I cooked breakfast and hummed to myself, when I walked by without saying much. Once, I saw her go through my phone, something she'd never done before. Another time, she spent extra time doing her makeup, even though we were just having leftovers. The shift in her was subtle but obvious. She was trying to reclaim something she hadn't realized was slipping until it was already gone. She started doing little things, like cooking the pasta I loved, the one she hadn't made in over a year. I thanked her, but I stayed guarded. Then she asked if I wanted to go out for brunch like we used to. I told her I had finally made plans for myself, real ones. That Saturday, I drove upstate alone. I hiked through the quiet, let the silence settle my thoughts, sat beside a lake, and for once, I wasn't lonely. I was free. It felt like breathing after holding it in for too long. When I got back that night, she was on the couch in the gray sweater I always told her she looked beautiful in. A candle flickered on the table. Soft music played in the background. It was obvious she had tried. She looked up and asked, "Where were you?" I shrugged. "Just out." "With who?" "Just me." She looked like she wanted to say more, but she didn't. And I didn't give her an opening. That had become our rhythm, her reaching, me not moving. 2 days later, she tried to touch me. I had just come out of the shower, towel around my waist, walking past the bed. She reached out and touched my arm lightly. "You smell good," she said. I nodded. "Thanks." I kept walking. That's when the cracks started showing. She began texting me during the day. Simple messages. "Hope you're having a good day," or "want to grab dinner later." I replied politely, but I never started conversations. I let her sit in the silence I had lived in for months. Let her feel the same uncertainty, the same ache of wanting and not getting. Because the truth was, I had already mourned her. The girl I fell in love with had vanished long before I started pulling away. The one who used to sing while cooking, who once looked at me like I was her whole world. She had gone. What was left was someone trying to piece together what she had dismantled. Then came the message. It was late. I was in bed scrolling through my phone. She was in the other room. A notification lit up the screen. "Emily, I miss us." I stared at it. Not because it shocked me, but because it confirmed what I had quietly suspected. She finally understood what she had done. She had pushed away affection, shut down intimacy, acted cold, and still expected loyalty. But now it was different. My attention, once ignored, had become something she longed for. The next morning, she made coffee for both of us. She set the mug in front of me and sat down, almost whispering, "I know I've been distant. I just want to fix things." I looked at her, really looked. She was still beautiful, but something was missing, something I couldn't unsee. I had changed. I smiled gently, took a sip of coffee, then stood, kissed her on the forehead, the same kind of kiss I had once craved, and said, "We'll talk soon." It wasn't a lie. It just wasn't a promise. She was the one waiting now. There's a quiet tragedy in realizing too late that someone who loved you has stopped waiting. That became her reality, and I watched it unfold day by day. Not through dramatic fights, but in subtle shifts. She began trying hard. Lit old candles, wore the perfume I used to love, laughed too loudly at my stories, touched my arm like we were still us. But each gesture just reminded me of what we used to be. The present had died the moment she told me, "Don't kiss me." That was the final nail. Still, she kept reaching out. Long texts full of confessions, apologies, nostalgia. "I don't know why I push you away. You were always so good to me. I miss falling asleep next to you." I read them. I didn't ignore her, but I didn't give her what she was looking for either. My heart wasn't something she could access at will anymore. One night, she asked if I'd go out with her, just for a drink. I said yes. Not because I hoped, but because I needed to see it through. We ended up at the bar where we had our second date. I remember the first time, how she wore that red dress, drank sangria, and talked about starting her photography business. Her laugh had been effortless then. This time she wore the same red dress, but the laugh was different, shaky, strained. Instead of dreams, She'd talk about regrets. Halfway through her drink, she reached for my hand. "I pushed you away because I was scared," she said. "You love me so deeply. It felt like too much." I didn't pull my hand away, but I didn't hold hers either. "I understand," I said quietly. She leaned in. Her eyes were searching. "I want us back." I looked at her. "Emily, I spent months asking if something was wrong, and you brushed me off. I tried to reach you, and you turned away. Do you remember what you said to me before brunch that day?" She looked down. "I do. You said, 'Don't kiss me.' And it wasn't tiredness or stress. You said it like being close to me was something you couldn't stand." Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't mean it like that, I swear. I was just numb. I didn't know how far gone I was." "But I did," I said. "Every time you rolled away from me, every time you avoided my eyes, every time I kissed you and you didn't even flinch. And the worst part? I still loved you through all of it." Her tears started to fall. "I love you," she whispered. "I know," I said, "but not the way I needed you to. Maybe not ever." When the check came, I paid. Not to make a point, but because I wanted to leave that bar with the same dignity I'd used to leave her emotional orbit weeks before. That night, she didn't sleep in our bed. I heard her cry in the living room, and it hurt, but not the same way. I didn't ache to comfort her. I didn't feel guilty. I just felt done. Over the next week, she tried again, made breakfast, left notes, suggested therapy. She wanted to heal what she had broken, not realizing I had already healed on my own, quietly, without her. The final conversation happened 2 weeks later. We sat on the porch at sunset. I had just come back from a run. She brought 2 glasses of water. "I don't know what else to do," she said. "I feel like I lost you." I looked at the sky, then at her. "You did. Not because you didn't try now, but because you didn't care then. I gave you everything. My love, my energy, my patience. You didn't lose me in one big moment. You let me go a little more each night. You turned away." She stood up, walked a few steps, turned back. "Is there someone else?" "No," I said, "but there will be. And when she comes, she won't treat my love like a burden. She won't need to be reminded to hold on." She swallowed like my words had landed too hard. "Are you leaving?" "I already did," I said. "You just didn't notice." I packed slowly that weekend, folded my clothes, left the apartment key on the table, took only what was mine. As I reached the door, she stood in front of it, mascara smudged, eyes hollow. "Please," she whispered, "don't go." I met her eyes, my voice steady. "I stayed when you didn't want me. Now that I found peace, don't ask me to go back to pain." And I walked out. I drove to a friend's cabin by the lake. Alone. Free. No buzzing phone. No weight on my chest. I looked at the stars at night, slept like I hadn't in years, and woke up lighter. She texted the next day. "I'm sorry. Please come back. I can't sleep without you." I didn't reply. She called 3 times. Then more. And that was the twist. The woman who once said, "Don't kiss me," was now begging for the very attention she had thrown away. But I wasn't trying to punish her. I had simply outgrown the version of myself who waited. She broke something, not just between us, but inside me. And when I finally picked up those pieces, I realized I was better off carrying them forward toward a life where love is given freely, not earned through pain. So I walked away.